Hello folks, I'm David and welcome to Not Naughty. If you're new here, let me quickly catch you up to speed. We're a family of 6 and we spend a lot of time on this 57-foot trawler in and out of Havelock in the glorious Marlborough Sounds. As I sit here editing a video, part of the series of videos of our recent haul out, which was absolutely fantastic, I went looking for some footage in relation to the cyclone that's approaching. We're sitting here waiting for Cyclone Vaianu to hit. It's raining heavily, and it got me thinking. Our first storm at sea was roughly about the same time of the year, well, it was actually late February, in early 2022. We were absolutely green to boating. We had no idea what we were doing, and we found ourselves staring down the barrel of a 50-knot storm. So we went and hid out. And by hide out, I mean we went looking for somewhere specifically where we could get shelter from the forecasted winds, which were quite ferocious and had everyone on edge. We really didn't know what to expect. We kind of figured, how bad can it be? And we headed up to Kitu Bay. What was interesting is that when we got there, there was a lot of activity on the day prior to the storm. A lot of the Cook Strait fishing fleet came in from Cook Strait and anchored in the middle of the bay. We, in all of our infinite wisdom, headed to the southern end of the bay so that we would get protection from the hills for the predicted 50-knot southerlies that were forecast to hit later that evening. Hey Mackie. Hey Alex.
Hey!
And there's our boat in the background and our neighbours for the night. Stormy night tonight. And we're just going to the beach to let these guys have a run around. You gonna have a run around, Alex?
Yeah. Oh,
So this is the southern bit of Kitu Bay, which is pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Little did we know we were about to be impacted by the katabatic effect mixed in with the venturi effect, both of which are significant wind patterns that the Marlborough Sounds is absolutely famous for. Now, the venturi effect is when wind barrels through mountains and through mountain passes and gets compressed. And as it gets compressed, it speeds up and it sort of shoots down a mountain pass and then hits the sea at a velocity far exceeding what the predicted wind speed of the storm actually is. And then what tends to happen is it shoots around and potentially gets caught in a cycle where it spins around the side of the hills looking for an escape. And as it does, it will shift angles. And that is the katabatic wind effect, where you have wind coming from one direction, coming into a bay and spinning around and then shooting out the other end. So you can be facing a 50-knot southerly like we were. However, during the night, we ended up getting hit by up to 60-knot northerlies, which was deeply unsettling. Thankfully, we were on the mooring ball, and next to us, rafted up, was a lovely couple on their big, beautiful sailing yacht. They were very experienced and they had been in plenty of storms before. So we were immensely grateful to have these salty old sailors next to us to sort of ease us through our first storm at sea. They said, best advice you can do, open a bottle of wine, throw away the cap and put on a movie. And that's exactly what we did. Now, I thought we would have some great footage of this time, but as it turns out, we have limited footage of this experience because this was all before we started a YouTube channel. We hadn't even thought of starting a YouTube channel. We were just filming for our friends and family. We were just home movie styles pretty much. And that is what I wanted to share today. As I was looking for the footage of this storm, which I thought we might have, I stumbled across an entire folder of videos that I hadn't seen before, and they are priceless. They're priceless to us as a family, and so I want to put them onto our YouTube channel so that in years to come, the kids can all look back, find this video, and look at themselves many years in the future, bit of a time capsule, and look back on some of the fun times that we had in the early days when we really had no idea what we were doing. Hence why the channel became Not Naughty. This is our very first boat, and way back in 2021 when we bought this boat, we had absolutely no idea. We'd never owned any kind of boat before. We'd had limited experience on boats, but we certainly hadn't owned a boat like this, and we certainly hadn't spent extended periods of time at sea. So Not Naughty seemed absolutely perfect for us as we moved forward into putting it out there and sharing it with the rest of the world. So I hope you enjoy this indulgent little look at some of our home movies from Key Bay pre and post the storm. And I'll voice over some of these things just for a bit of context, because it really was quite an eye-opening experience. Halfway through that night, Hayley and I had made up this couch into a bed, and we sat up here watching TV because we were on sort of the top level of the boat, and it meant we were close to the instruments which we had on, and we were also close to the doors. So if anything sort of happened, we could go outside and react to the situation. At one point, Hayley said to me, "I can't believe we are actually choosing to do this. I can't believe we are choosing to place ourselves and our kids in this much danger. Are we absolutely mad?" She might have used slightly different words there, but at the time it felt like we were absolutely mad, and we were terrified. We had no expectation of what the storm was going to be. We'd been in little tiny squalls, but we hadn't actually been in a proper ferocious storm. When we found ourselves in the midst of a proper ferocious storm, it changed perspectives entirely. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I was beyond the belief that I had placed my family in this situation. I was so thankful that we had a boat full of wisdom tied next to us. However, one of the bits of advice that the captain had given to me as we were preparing for the storm was, he said to me, "We'll be fine as long as the sea state doesn't change and the storm doesn't come towards us. We're going to be absolutely fine because we've got the shelter of this bay." As it turned out, due to the katabatic wind, we ended up getting slammed from the north, so we were bow into this northerly storm front as it swirled around, and it whipped up a terrible sea state. So the one thing I was watching for, which was we're going to be fine as long as the sea state doesn't get up, actually happened. So the sea state got up, so the bow of the boat was rising and falling with the mooring as we went up and down over the waves. So that became very, very uncomfortable very quickly. And I could not believe that the kids slept through the whole thing, because it was quite violent. The boat was leaping up and then slamming down, leaping up, slamming down. peeped open the curtains, looked down at the sailboat beneath us, and here's old mate and his wife cuddled up on the couch, drinking wine, watching a movie, not a care in the world. So, you know, there is a lot to be said for experience, and that is what we've learned over the past 5 summers the hard way, the easy way. We've actually gone through many storms now, and whilst we've been contained in the Marlborough Sounds, we've gained a whole lot of experience and we've gained a whole lot of knowledge as to how we react to storms at sea, how the boat behaves, and where we can go to find safety in these kinds of situations. And that is one of the wonderful things about the Marlborough Sounds, and why we have created the Bay Stays section on our website, so that we can share this knowledge, because the Marlborough Sounds, and the Pelorus Sounds in particular, it's such an enormous stretch of coastline, and there are so many places that you can go to hide out from storms. However, if you don't have that local knowledge, you can find yourself in the situation that we found ourselves in that storm. We positioned ourselves where we thought we would be safe, but what we actually ended up doing was positioning ourselves in quite a dangerous spot. And this was brought to bear by the Cook Strait fishing fleet, because they came in and they all went on anchor in the middle of the bay. And I could not work out why they were doing that. In hindsight, we needed to have moved and gone and positioned ourselves either on anchor or on a mooring ball in that same location, because they knew what was coming, and they knew the best spot in the bay to be. And where they all anchored, all pretty much in a line, was exactly where the wind came through the mountain pass. And so they got hit by a southeasterly where it came through the pass, and they all ended up just pointing into the wind. The wind came roaring past them. They were all fine. They had a reasonably peaceful night at anchor, just getting pounded by a southeasterly wind as it came down the pass. Us, on the other hand, got pounded by a northerly wind as it tucked around and hit the end of the headland and then funneled back towards us. But we also got hit by the sea. As that wind came through, it had enough space in the bay to actually whip up some wind-generated swell, which ended up collecting us at the end of the bay. So we had that uncomfortable night on anchor, going up and down and up and down and up and down. And no matter how many times you go through that, it's never comfortable. The sound of your boat rising on a wave and then smashing down again is deeply unpleasant, and the shuddering is very hard to get used to. You always feel like something is going to break just from that force of 25, 30 tons of boat going up and then smashing down on the water. So there you have it, our first storm at sea. It was truly an experience. We got through it, and as we motored away from the bay, which you can see in this footage here, the clouds were all grey. The storm had broken enough for us to feel like we wanted to move somewhere nice, and somewhere that wasn't reminding us of what a terrible storm we'd just been through. And as we motored away deeper into the Sounds, the sky broke, the weather cleared, the sun came out, the clouds all burnt off, and it was a gorgeous day. And Hayley and I sat together up on the flybridge as we're driving, just the two of us, talking about how much of an experience that was, but also reminding ourselves that we're doing it for experience. And gosh, look around us. And as we had that conversation, there were penguins swimming around us, there were seals swimming around us, and it was absolutely perfect. All was well in the world. And that is what you have to remind yourself. Storms come and go. They are intense in the moment, but they are surrounded by periods of calm, periods of absolute joy and beauty, which on the whole are much longer than the short, sharp, intense periods of storm. So that is a wonderful analogy for life. Go out, enjoy the wonderful, calm, beautiful spots around all these little moments of tempest.
Alex, what are you doing?
Just throwing rocks into the water. And then you can maybe see this one.
Go. Oh, you got it. Hey, Mickey.
Hey. Oh, okay. Oh, right and hold down. Oh, SSP. Oh, SSP. Oh, SSP. Oh, SSP. Oh, there icon.
Maya, Sophia, Mum,
Hi. Mine.
boys.
Hey, we made a hot Christmas tree. Hand ID.
Oh,
Only allowed to
hand
enter.
ID.
See, it says hand ID,
Put
please.
your hands up.
Only entering with hand ID.
Put your hands up.
Like, and the dogs.
Dog in the house. And Mum, what do we got here?
It's a Christmas tree. See, it's even got little bits of pine
And
sticking
also,
out.
there's a fire inside.
And in the house, the fire.
And some
With
blueberries.
And a couch. Can't forget the couch.
And a couch. And my pet dog.
And
a
a star on top.
What a great thing.
Yep.
And even outdoor furniture. A squishy. And there's our boat. And there's water transport. There's Mum. Thanks for watching. And make sure you find the time to be a little bit naughty each and every day.